is a variety of rice that's new to us. It was commercial seed I bought. I think the seed was poor. It didn't germinate well, it didn't grow well, but it has some rice, so it's enough we can grow it another year and see if that's just the kind of rice it is or if the seed was poor. This is called yukimochi, and it is supposed to be a sweet rice. When we finish here, we'll tie it up and hang it up in the warm greenhouse to dry.
Imported from China. It has a small diesel engine. It's basically like any big wheat combine or corn combine you see. It's just a miniature. You have the cutter head at this end. You have the rake to bring the rice into the auger. The auger moves the rice up into this thresher. The thrasher thrashes the grain. The chaff is spit out on this side, and the rice kernels go up into this bag. And that's it.
This rice variety was harvested by hand. It was a small quantity, so then the plants are just cut with a sickle and then tied up to dry, and that's the easiest way to manage a small quantity of rice. But this particular rice variety is off of a sport that showed up in our fields in 2021. It was a significant plant. It was much bigger and fuller and taller than any of the other plants. I just thought it was a beautiful example of rice, so I cut it as a plant and I put it in a vase and had it in a vase in the house in a dry environment for more than a year. And then in the spring, when we were starting to get organized to sow rice again this year, I thought, well, I wonder if this rice is viable. It's it's been in real dry climate, and so I did a germination test and it was germinating at 100%. So I said, let's plant this. This is a real interesting variety. It has very big fat heads of rice. The seed is really big and thick, all of which bodes well for a potential variety down the road. Now, it's pretty easy to develop land races of rice. It's self-pollinated. If you wanted to cross rice intentionally with something else, you can hand pollinate it, but by opening up the flowers when they first bloom. But normally you can grow rice side by side, two different varieties, and they will not cross. So this is just a variety that's self-selected to be worth working with, and we're going to continue to grow it out. Now, when it did grow out this year as a small patch, we only sowed one flat, which is about 120 some plants, and it made a nice small patch. You could see in the patch, and I took a lot of photos, a tremendous amount of diversity in the morphology of it. Some of the plants were taller, shorter, wider. Some had awns, which are, I don't see any now, but they are the little spiky whiskers that come off the top of the grains, which can be a good deterrent for birds, but that was just occasionally. So we've got a lot of genetic diversity in this one plant's offspring, and we'll continue to work with it. We'll grow it out next year as just indiscriminate. We did not select for anything. And then we'll start to think about what we want to select for. I definitely would go for big, fat heads of rice. with big fat seeds. This is seems to have great potential as a very, very productive variety of rice. So we're just tentatively calling it Nikian 21 because it came from our 2021 crop experiments. And I think it has good potential as a new variety.
Hoop house on Nikian farm, and we are in the process of drying a rice that we harvested 2 weeks ago. The rice is called Hayayuki, or mountain snow, as in the translation. It's from originally from the island of Hokkaido in northern Japan, which happens to be at the exact same latitude as Nova Scotia, 45 degrees north. I have a combine that I use in the rice paddy, and this is the result of my combine. When you first combine your rice, it has a fairly high moisture content, so it's good to lay it out on a flat surface like this. Fans help, solar helps, and then every so often you come in and I rake it up like this with my hands, just disturbing it a little bit and making sure that any moisture that might be, or any grains that are damp, come to the surface and get desiccated. This rice is going to be tested today for moisture content with a moisture tester on loan from the Department of Agriculture, and we'll see if it's ready to store. I store this rice in food grade pails that I seal, and that way when I'm ready to polish, I can just bring a pail up from my storage cellar and run it through my dehusker. These pails will have lids on them that are hermetically sealed, so there's no moisture getting into the grain. And that's about all I can say about drying rice. So when the moisture content gets down to 15%, I then transfer this rice into these pails, which are food grade, and then I seal the pails and then store them until I want to dehusk the rice. Okay, so this is the on-farm moisture tester for different types of grain. It's a 1970s model. Agriculture lets me use it. You put your grain in this cup, which is a balance, and when your balance beam floats, then once you get your beam floating like that, then you take your grain and you put it in this funnel. You turn on your moisture machine and you dial it in for humidity. This is the tuner. The tuner is dead center, and we have on everything here now 15.5% for wheat or oats, which are two of the things that I equate to rice. So it's plenty dry to be stored. And that's, once you're down to 14%, you're great. And that's how the moisture meter works. Well, this is a rice dehusker, another import from China. The rice is fed through the hopper here. The rice comes down, it goes between this set of wheels, then it bounces off of here and it goes through this set of wheels. That takes the husk off. The husk goes out this chute, and the rice, the slightly polished rice or dehusked rice, comes down into this pan here. So That is basically very simple. It's electric motor. It's very loud and rough and bumpy, but it works. So we're gonna start her up and polish some of that Hayayuki rice that I showed you drying earlier.